Do you want to tell me about some of the posters you've got going on over here? What's your favorite poster?
Well, I really like that one because of some obvious reasons, but also I really like it because it's really creative and they put all the album covers on the women, and I love women, so it's just great. It's really cool. I also really like this one. I got it at like the street fair with my girlfriend. Yeah, and I play guitar a lot, so these are some of the people that I like to follow and listen to and play. And yeah, mostly it's just people that I like to listen to their music from, and I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
I think there is some aspects to love that are well portrayed in music really well. There are some aspects as well in movies, but I think that it's a bit exaggerated, like the Hallmark movies. If you've ever seen a frickin' Hallmark movie, they're terrible. I think it is a little bit different for sure, like in actual real life. Different struggles that like no one actually sees in the movies, you know? There are hardships in relationships, and there's things that you need to figure out and kind of compromise on, you know? And they don't show that. But I think music does do a very good job sometimes of love and not like relationships, but what love was, like how somebody felt love before and they were like not in a relationship anymore and they miss them or whatever, or like falling in love. I think there are some good songs that represent that for sure.
Are you currently in a relationship right now?
Yes.
How long have you been with your partner?
Like a year and 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And how did you guys meet?
We met on Tinder. She slid up on my Tinder account, or slid in actually to my DMs and was like, let's go on an adventure. And I took her sailing on our first date, and she was my first ever Tinder date, and we've been going strong since then. So
How many relationships have you had previous to your current one?
what type of relationship do you
Let's go with textbook, like girlfriend,
dating?
girlfriend, yeah, dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a boyfriend before, actually. I've had 2 boyfriends, not at the same time. One in 6th grade, we dated and we held hands. Yeah. And then, I don't know how long we dated, maybe like a month or 2. And then there's this other guy and we dated. And it just wasn't, yeah. Anyways, there's been a lot of in between. But like the other big relationship I was in was like 9 months. And it was just before I went into college. It was like high school.
Mm-hmm.
Then came in freshman year. So.
And I guess textbook relationships, like how many people would you say that you've kind of dated or had that weird in-between situation?
As a gay woman who is out in high school and middle school, there are a lot of other women that are like, oh, I would love to experiment, or like, oh my god, you're gay? Let me experiment with you.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a lot of that, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would. Do you want me to give you an estimate, like a number?
You don't have to give me an estimate. You think love has one definition, or can there be multiple definitions of love?
I think there is definitely more than one definition of love. Like, I love my best friend, but not in the same way that I love my girlfriend or like my family or something. There's definitely different definitions of love. And like, as somebody that wants to become a doctor, there is definitely, like, I love helping people, and that's a different type of love. And I love learning, like, medicine and stuff, different type. Like, there are so many different, there's not even, I can't even think of, like, what defines love, to be, in all honesty. Because there's so many different, like, and everybody loves differently. Everybody shows it differently. Everybody, like, there are love languages. And people have their own little love languages. And that's, like, a whole different aspect. And I think there's definitely more than just one. If anybody says there's one, they might be a little crazy.
When did you first feel that? Like, I'm in love with Anna.
I think as a person that's been in a lot of situationships and going from person to person, kind of people that were not very nice to me and like didn't treat me like I want to be treated, or like didn't even care about my feelings. I think it's hard for me to love people and fully, like, because for me to love somebody, it's, like, big. It's a lot. Like, if I love somebody, I love them, and, like, I will, like, I'm, like, fully myself, and I'm fully, like, I'll do anything for them. And another thing that I really value is if you get in, like, an argument or something, you want to come back to that person. You want to, like, figure it out instead of be like, oh, I hate you. Like, you suck. You're terrible. You can, like, figure out your problems and figure out the hardships of your relationship, and that's also a big aspect of love. Because, like, if you don't love somebody and you fight with them, like, I'm not going to put in the effort to, like, I mean, it's a fine line. A thin line. Skinny. But it's like a fine line between what is what, but yeah. Yeah. I am currently in love.
You're making this so hard, like, not to react while you're talking.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I've never been interviewed like this before. Except that one time.
I don't know. It was like, I haven't been single in, like,
3 years?
for most of college.
Wow.
Because, like, we've been together, like, a year and 9 months, but we were also, like, hanging out for a solid, well, we were, like, hooking up for, like, 7 months. But, like, emotionally, I was dating him. And also, we were emotionally dating for 3 months of freshman year. So, it's literally, like, the last, like, 3 years. Like, I feel like we've just been together.
If you could kind of, like, sum up the entire experience of dating and knowing him, how would you summarize it? Because it is very complicated.
Yeah.
Clearly you have, like, you care a lot about.
Yeah. I don't know, it's kind of like if things are meant to be, like, they're gonna be. Because, like, I mean, we were kind of together for a while, and then we were broken up. And I didn't really understand, like, why we were broken up. Because I just wanted to be with him, but he obviously had other plans and other people. But, like, in kind of another way, like, I was glad that I had the time, like, by myself, because I feel like I also branched out and, like, made friends, kind of, like, figured out who I want to be in the time that we were apart. And then, like, we came back together and we both kind of realized that we had feelings for each other again. So even though it wasn't, like, on the timeline that I originally imagined when we first met, like, it kind of ended up being better that way. Because I think when we came back together, and since we've been together, we've been a better fit for each other than we probably were when we first met. So
you say it made your relationship stronger?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Do you hold any resentment over that time, or do you see it more as just it was a learning curve for both of you?
I think when I'm upset, sometimes it's more in the back of my mind. Just because I was devastated when he broke up with me the first time. I was so upset. And he also just moved on quicker than I did, and I think that part hurt. But I feel like now it doesn't really bother me since we've been together for a while, and it's we're kind of actively choosing to be with each other. So I would say my parents have a really healthy relationship.
Weird.
I mean, my parents both got married when they were really young to other people. And
so they both had previous.
Yeah, correct. I think my dad was married by the time he was 23. I think my mom was around that same time, just very young. And they both kind of have talked about how they just got married thinking oh, if it doesn't work out, we'll just get a divorce. It won't be that big of a deal. And obviously things did not go so well. And when they met each other, they were both, I think, a little more, they were more careful, I think, in picking each other. But at the same time, I think they both knew what they were looking for, and so they have a really strong relationship because they both just kind of chose each other even though they had been through such a hard, previous relationship. And so I feel like they've always had a very real relationship, and they're not the most affectionate. They're not really those parents that are I don't know, maybe other people's parents don't kiss. I don't really know.
Did seeing how love was expressed between your parents influence how you go about your relationships now? But also, do you kind of have that same idea with marriage and relationships of I'll do it, and then if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out?
I don't think that I view it that way, just because hearing about their experiences of how hard it is to go through divorce, and my mom had 2 kids, and I think that definitely made it a lot harder. So I'm much more on the page of I want to still live my life as an individual until I feel like it's the right time to get married. But in terms of how my parents' relationship impacted me, I think not that they're not great communicators. I just think sometimes they can be a little bit passive aggressive towards each other, and they don't just talk about what they're feeling until it all kind of bubbles up. And I think that's something that I try really hard to do in my relationship, is just to kind of put things out on the table, even if it's awkward to have a conversation about something that's bugging you. It's way better than just kind of letting it all build up and getting all tense.
Have you ever been in love?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you're currently in love?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Describe to me what it feels like to be in love.
It's kind of it's kind of like drinking hot chocolate on a really cold day. That sounds so corny, but it's just you're just warm, and it's comforting because it's no matter what else is going on in your life, you know that you do have someone who really cares about you. And when they show up for you in ways that are meaningful, I feel like that's just such a good feeling.
How has being in love influenced your idea of love? Or has it at all?
I think it has. I think it's made me more realistic about what good relationships look like, because I feel like part of my first relationship is that I wanted things to be so perfect, and I wanted our feelings to just magically line up with each other. but I think that's just not realistic. And so being in love has kind of shown me like a relationship is, it's not you just get into a relationship and everything is great. It's kind of like you're constantly working to make it last and to make it better, because if you don't, then things just kind of go like stagnant.
You can answer how honestly you want. You could lie. You could just choose not to respond.
Okay.
It's really all about you, right?
I'll let my publicist decide, quite honestly.
The counsel over there. First question.
Okay.
Are you currently in a relationship right now?
Yes. Yes, I am.
How long have you been in the relationship?
That's a tricky question. But technically, it's been a couple weeks.
Couple weeks. How did you guys meet?
Civil War game, Scobies. End of September, right before school started. There was a little party, friends of friends. Met there. Yeah.
How has, or if it has, like being gay affected how you go about dating men? Has it affected it, and in its own what way?
It's funny because like I'm more aggressive when it comes to, because you know how it's the classic men are always the gentleman type of deal, and women should be like served, and they, you know, it's that little gender stereotype thing. I think because I was so ready to be the gentleman for women relationships. It like I approach male relationships differently, and I kind of like I want to be more generous and like treat them, get them flowers and stuff like that. Like I want to be that person, and I think that is the only thing that changes it. Honestly, I don't talk about any of that stuff with my partners. Well, that sounds terrible. Like I will mention it, but they're not that curious.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That seems like every man's
Right?
dream.
Exactly.
Does it help if I say it like, when you think of love and how it fits into your life, what does that look like?
It's in everything I do. I think every choice I have is for love, and that doesn't mean it's a love for a person, but like, okay, in my opinion, you can love like hobbies or your passions in life, or nature. Again, I really love nature more than you can love a person, and because it treats you differently, and I think every decision in life should be for love. Like you should make it with love in mind, because it's like love for yourself when you make those decisions.
Do you think love has one definition, or can there be multiple?
Oh, multiple. Yeah. Everyone has their own view of it, and how they choose to accept love, and that definitely changes the definition. Some people think that you should go through the thick of it and the trenches and like go through so much for love, all these battles. And some people think it should be easy and would go easy, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that any of those are wrong, but it's definitely relative. So,
would you say that love is dictated by perspective?
Yeah, yes. But also, so that's how people choose to interpret love, is with their own perspective. But I do think that there is a general love out in the universe and with everyone around you that is just the known stable love. because there's so many different kinds, but this one is like kind of in everyone. I don't know. Yeah.
So we all get ideas of what love will be like or feel like or look like from movies and music. Do you think the portrayal of love in those mediums is exaggerated, or is there actually some truth to what's shown or what we hear in lyrics?
Yeah, I think it has to be exaggerated a bit. My first thought is just film in order to portray what people feel in their minds and their delusions and in their heads. Visually, it has to be a bit more intense and different, and also to fit it in such a small time frame. I don't think lyrics are exaggerated. I think it's, some of them are like at the peak of an emotion, like when you're going in your feels and you're like saying all these things and you're like, these are all true. That's what a peak of a mental breakdown or a peak of like a feeling. So I think it's true at one point. It's not true all the time. Like things go in phases, and like love at first sight. I don't know how people. It's like I think you haven't been laid in a while, and you're just looking for something. I think that's what it is. Because no, I'm sorry. Like at least for me, I kind of grew up on TV, and like I base a lot of my is like where I got by things from my parents with relationships. I think I got some of that from TV as well. So it's hard when it's not the same. It's like different feelings. Kind of being aware of that and not caught up on it. That you're not like butterflies in love, like super obsessive about things, and that it's different, and that's healthier actually. Not being, the movie type of love, but having something to build up. I don't know. Loving someone should be effortless, but letting yourself love them is another story. Or like whether it be the other way around, where you can be loved effortlessly, but whether you're gonna let yourself do that or the other, it's like the same thing. It's like a little cycle. So having both sides line up where you love someone and you're able to receive it, and they love someone, or they love you and they're able to like receive your love. I think that's what makes it effortless. Because all the other things like money, time, stress, that doesn't really matter when it comes to love. It's kind of, because those are just obstacles, and that shouldn't be included, even though it is.
Hey.
Hi.
Emma, right?
Yeah,
We know each other a little.
just a
little bit.
recently met.
Your show.
She almost ran me over with her car.
So, are you currently in a relationship right now? Disclaimer. She's
Yes.
a dirty liar. Okay.
Yes, I have a boyfriend.
How long have you been with your boyfriend? You can explain it.
We met 3 years ago, and we recently reconnected again. So it's been about 7 or 8 months.
Do you think love has one definition, or that there can be multiple definitions of love?
I think that there's multiple definitions of love, and there's different. I think it's kind of a spectrum. Like, you don't love everybody the same way. But I love my friends, my dearest friends. I love my dearest friends, and I love them, I do, but I love them in a different way than I love my boyfriend, which is, I think that's normal. But also, I think love is mainly sacrifice. Like, how much are you willing to prioritize your love for that person, or for that person's well-being?
Growing up, how did you see love? And like, how was it expressed between your parents and your siblings or other family members?
My parents they're quite far apart in age, And I think that makes a really big difference because I never saw a whole lot of affection between the two of them. I saw their affection towards me as kind of their youngest, because I'm the youngest of 10 kids. So I definitely saw affection in that way. I felt affection in that way, but I didn't see a whole lot of it between the two of them. I never really saw them holding hands, things like that. I didn't really see, or I wasn't exposed to what I would define now as healthy love between two people until my sister got with her husband, her now husband. My parents never fully separated or got divorced, so it's been a long time where it's just been no affection and no talking, things like that. And that's definitely not what I want for my own life. And so far, I think I've done a good job avoiding that, at least in this current relationship, for sure. I've done a good job of avoiding that kind of lack of intimacy.
So I already asked you if you've been in love, or if you are in love, and you said yes. Can you describe to me what it feels like to be in love?
That's a good question. That's a good one. I don't get butterflies all the time. I think a lot of people, when they first define love, is like, oh my gosh, I have butterflies every time I see him. But it's not a bad thing at all. I think it's really important that I don't get nervous all the time, because I'm so comfortable around him. Like, he makes me feel safe. And yeah, I do get butterflies sometimes, for sure, obviously. There he is. That's him. I don't get butterflies all the time, and I think that's really important, because that means that I like to think of that as I'm really comfortable and I feel safe and I'm more myself around him. You know, I don't feel like I'm putting on any kind of show, or I'm not nervous about how he perceives me when I do something, like my abnormal self.
You're coming off really normal right now. So, no one is perfect, and I think the same can be said when you're in love, you know? Especially we're in our 20s, we don't know what the shit's going on. Where do you draw the line when forgiving someone because they're human and letting them go because they aren't what you deserve? Where is that line for you?
You knew what you were doing when you wrote that question. This one is kind of difficult for me to answer, because this person that I'm with now, we've been back and forth for a long time, and we've had some pretty steep ups and downs. But could one say that I'm just naive and stupid and this isn't going to work out? Yeah. I've heard that one before. But I think it's more of a gut reaction than anything. When I see him, I'm not upset. Or like, when he annoys me, passes in like a minute. So, yeah, I forgive him because he's human, but I also forgive him because I really, really love him. And letting someone go because you don't feel that's what you deserve is really important distinction, which I thought I had made that distinction a while ago, and I did over and over and over again. But then, you know, your gut tells you otherwise, and you're not back in it, and that's okay. You just go back until you learn, I guess. But I learned that it was worth it. And this is what I deserve. sometimes life gets in the way and things get confusing and we don't always know what we're doing, especially since we're in our 20s. So, what else can you do but go with how you feel? If you feel you don't deserve something and you don't love it enough to suffer through that, then that's okay. You can let it go.
I would say, like, the people that, like, I've hung out with more in a romantic sense. Like, I would not call that love. Okay, maybe don't Don't. I'm starting to just, like, talk to you as, like, I'm just talking to you. Not, like,
No, do it. It's totally chill.
What was
totally
the question?
Are you currently in a relationship right now?
No, I'm not.
Do you want to be in a relationship right now?
I'm open to it, but I'd say, like, that, like, romantic relationship part of my life isn't what I'm prioritizing.
What are you prioritizing right now?
I don't know, it's like the last year, I'm in my senior year, so, like, if something were to happen, or, like, I'm leaving that door open, but I'm not necessarily, like, actively pursuing, like, trying to look for a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I want to focus on myself and, like, finishing up school strong and spending time with my friends, like, the people that I've known for the past 3 years, and, like, making the most of that. I've actually never been in a serious relationship.
Have you been in, as the kids say, situationships or, like, the weird in-betweens?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has that been, like, dating?
Honestly, like, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, why I'm not necessarily looking for something now, just because, like, I don't want to do that again. Like, if I were to look for, like, some type of relationship, like, I do actually want, like, something real.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a situationship. I honestly think that's kind of dumb. Or it's not dumb, but it's just not what I'm looking for. And, like, I want something real, and I don't want to, like, waste my time.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far while dating?
I don't know, just, like, being open to things and, like, I think it's good to have standards, and, like, it's good to have, like, know what you want for yourself, but also not to have, like, crazy expectations of where something will go, because I think, like, no matter what kind of relationship it is, if it's romantic, if it's platonic, like, everything has its time, and I think to, like, appreciate something for what it is during that time. I would say, like, I kind of believe that things, like, happen for a reason, like, things are gonna, like, work out how they work out, but I don't necessarily believe that, like, fate in the sense that, like, something was written before you were born, or, like, you know, there's, like, you were destined to fall in love with this person, and this is your track for your life. You know, I think we have some choice. And I'm not saying, like, you have, like, a choice over, you know, who you fall in love with. Not that at all, because, like I said before, like, I think love is, like, or, like, romantic love, it kind of just, like, falls in your lap. Or, like, maybe you wake up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I love them. Or, you know, I don't know. But maybe not like that. But, what was the question?
Do you believe in fate or, like, things happen for a reason?
Yeah. I think, like, things happen for a reason, but I don't necessarily believe in fate in the sense that, like, you know, things were this, like, written before.
Like destiny.
Like destiny kind of thing.
When you think of love in your life, just what does it look like? What does love being shown to you look like?
Okay. I would say, like, I think of, like, people in my life showing up for me, and that can be in a lot of different ways. Like, my friends and family, like, listening to me, like, supporting me, my friends, like, getting excited about something I tell them, or, like, showing up for something I care about. Yeah, when I think of love, I mostly, like, think of my friends. But I've always told myself, like, I've been telling myself this, I guess, like, since I started, like, dating, like, in high school, that, like, I don't want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. Like, I'd rather just be by myself doing my own thing than be reliant on somebody that's, like, not necessarily, like, maybe good for me, or we're not, like, good for each other. Or, like, I just, like, don't want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. I honestly, I don't really like it when people tell me, like, oh, this is your time to, like, figure out who you are, and, you know. But, like, that's really true. And, like, you have your whole life to, like, figure out who you are. But also, like, you have, like, one person that you're with for your entire life, and that's you. It's easy to, like, get caught up on stuff that, like, you haven't experienced, or that you haven't, like, maybe that you want and you feel like is missing from your life. Like, I know I definitely do that. But I also, like, I've been doing a lot of reflection on this, I guess, recently. But thinking about, like, just within this past year of things that you've experienced, new experiences that you've had, both in romantic relationships and just in life in general. But just knowing, like, oh my gosh, all of that can happen within 1 year. Like, what, this is so corny, but, like, what does the next month, year, like, hold? Like, there's, like, I don't know. Like, things can change, like, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I've just, like, I've changed a lot even within the last 2 years. And, like, I've learned a lot more about myself and romantic relationships and stuff, so I don't know, I think things can change, like, really quickly, and I think it's definitely hard to, like, remind yourself that, and I get sometimes caught up in thinking, like, you know, like, I wish things were different, or I wish, like, I was in this stage of my life, but, I try not to get too ahead, or I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself.
First question. Are you currently in a relationship right now?
Yes.
How long have you been with your partner?
2 years and 3 months? 4 months? Yeah, 2 years and 4 months.
How would you define love, and does that definition include or exclude platonic and familial love? And do those differences matter in order to define love?
I'd say love has different definitions depending on the context that it is. So I think that familial love is different than a love in a relationship or love with friendships. So therefore I would say that they have different definitions, and if I were to define love romantically, I wouldn't be the same as defining it in terms of a friendship. I'd say love romantically is much more of a partnership, and you seem much more united in it to earn it together. But I'd say love with a friend is more of something that you're both getting that love out of that relationship kind of separately, and it's it feels less intentional. It's more that you also enjoy hanging out with that person, whereas I feel like love in a relationship, sometimes you have to work for it. I think that being in a monogamous relationship for a long time is different than friendships, because friendships can ebb and flow with much more variety than a monogamous relationship. And then familial love is different in and of itself. I think at first, when I first started dating my boyfriend, again, this is partially because it was my first relationship ever, it felt like extremely exciting and overwhelming, and it was this whole new thing of like, oh my god, I have a boyfriend and a person who I can text whenever I want to, who I know will like want to hear from me. It was really just like having a really close friend who I really enjoyed. And then I think over time it has developed into something much more steady, And to me, the love that I have with my boyfriend is rooted in hard work to make sure that we still have each other, and acknowledging and knowing how much we love each other and continuing to make sure that it has a place in our life. So if I'm in college and I'm busy with my schedule, thinking not only of myself and the things that I need to do, whether that's my classes or my work or hanging out with my friends, but also acknowledging that my boyfriend is a wonderful person in my life. I love him a lot. I know that he loves me. What do I need to do to make sure that that love still has a place in my life? And that can be hanging out with him. That can be doing things for him. That can be telling him that I love him. And that is all of those things and more. So I think love for me is truly enjoying somebody else as a person, is trusting and knowing that you are also loved by that person, and then wanting to invest in that love indefinitely.
So how would you say being in love, how has it influenced your ideas and perceptions of love?
I think that it's much more complicated. Because love is unique to each and every person, and also it's often a private thing, it's difficult to know what you're supposed to feel like when you're in love, or what you're supposed to be feeling or thinking or doing. And it's unique to every person, and sometimes you only see a slice of somebody's relationship or their love life. And so for me, it's just been kind of slowly discovering what it means to me and what I don't know, what its place is in my life.
Do you believe in the idea of right person, wrong time?
Maybe I think that depends on what the definition of right person is. Maybe right person means your values and your personalities are compatible, and if that's the case, then it can be the wrong time in terms of like where you're at in your careers, where you're at in somebody wanting to travel versus somebody wanting to settle down, something like that. But I think if right person means somebody where everything works out, then no, because the right time is part of it working out at that time. Because if it's the wrong time because you're at different points in your life, it's the wrong time because one of you isn't emotionally mature enough yet, if it's the wrong time because somebody's going through something, then they weren't the right person after all, because you weren't ready to be in that relationship, or you weren't ready for each other, and therefore they weren't the right person in that moment. But the belief in soulmates, or belief in like the red string theory, or belief that you're destined to be together, I feel like it diminishes the value and the work of a relationship. Because you can get along like a house on fire for the first 6 months of your relationship, but if you're not willing to put in the work, to talk, to communicate, to change for the other person, to do things for them, to sacrifice yourself for them, then it doesn't matter if you were destined to find each other, because you aren't ready to be in that relationship, and you're not ready to be the person that partner needs. And so I think that saying that people are just soulmates, I think it diminishes the work that they put to build that relationship. If some people are married for 50 years, it's like, oh, well, look, they were meant to be married for 50 years. It's like, no, they've been working for 50 years to be able to enjoy the good parts. And whether maybe it's 90% of their relationship is great and 10% kind of sucks, or whatever that ratio is, they worked during that 10% to be able to enjoy the 90%. And I think just saying, look at the 90%, it was fate, diminishes the fact that that was intentional, that they are choosing to be together instead of some higher power.